Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lost in Translation show, where we explore yesterday to help people understand what's happening in the world today. And my name's Simone, and thank you for tuning in today. We've got a good guest coming up. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe so we can get the good word out. Today, our guest is Michelle Melendez, and now she's been on the show a few times, and she's the author of The Great Maui Land Grab. And her most recent book, The Death of Freedom, is on sale right now. So if you'd like to go grab one of those after the event and the interview, I will have that information in the comments section below. So as the world continues to spin out of control, many of us feel that there's no hope, no way to fight back, and that the New World Order gang of billionaires and warmongers will continue their plan to bring about the track and trace one world government, one world religion that serves Lucifer, and one world military that will enslave humanity. Is there really no way to fight back? Are we all destined to live in smart cities with a digital currency that controls our consumption and, even scarier, punishes us if we do not conform to their agenda of total totalitarian rule? Well, our guest today is doing everything she can to inform the public about the crimes of our government, the failure of our societal systems, and give us specific strategies that can help us push back against the growing totalitarian actions of our government and global corporations. Is the future that dark, the one the world's powerful families have planned, our only option? Or can we push back and leave the planet a better place for future generations? I personally believe we do, and so does our guest today, Michelle Melendez. Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Simone, and aloha to everyone. I'm here on the Big Island, and we just had a storm that was absolutely manufactured. We have satellite images. I mean, it just so much is happening, but we are pushing back and we are succeeding. So we do have some successes that I can share, but thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're welcome, Michelle, and it's great to have you back. It's always good to see a fellow Californian who's resettled over in Maui. And why don't you just give us a little background for people who may not have seen you on the show in the past?
Yeah, so my family's been on the islands for 30 years. And was speaking out against COVID because I'm a health and fitness expert for 30 years. And then when the Maui fire happened, started researching into that, especially when the Hawaii governor went to the United Nations and shared at the United Nations that it was because of climate change. And that is a whole narrative, you guys. I can actually show you there's this called the World Climate Declaration. There's over 2,060 credentialed scientists around the world that have signed a World Climate Declaration that there's no climate emergency. Climate change happens every second of the day. The climate is constantly changing, but there's no climate emergency. And the powers that be need us to believe that there is climate danger so that we will go along with all of the things that they're changing, all the bills they're trying to bring through, the general plan, stuff that's in our general plan that shouldn't be there. And they have that's the narrative. That's the reason for that narrative, the climate change narrative, is to literally take away freedoms through general plans, through the narrative of climate change, which is just not true. There's no climate emergency. So I've just been doing a lot of work on that. My first book, Great Maui Land Grab. I wrote this. What caused the Maui fire and is your home next? I wrote this because I knew if I didn't document all of the anomalies, there's 29 anomalies from the Maui fire. I mean, I can go over them. Within 10 days, they put up a 5 mile long dust screen, 12 feet high, that was $2.3 million. And they put this around the entire perimeter of Lahaina 10 days after the fire and also 10 days before it was actually financially approved. They had this dust screen already there. I mean, didn't let media in for 30 days, didn't let homeowners in for 90 days actually. So many questions about that fire. And I knew if I didn't document it, it would be gone, which it is. So in this book, there's a lot of pictures and including some bodies that there's no way a regular fire burns a body that leaves it recognizable. So a lot of things about that. And then I wrote The Death of Freedom, and Great Maui Land Grab actually got took third place in the American Book Fest under true crime because that's exactly what it was. It was a true crime. And then The Death of Freedom, which the G. Edward Griffin did the foreword on The Death of Freedom, number one new release on Amazon, is basically lets people helps people understand how did we get here, because this was a free country. 1776, I mean, people could actually have guns. There was, Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. People would bear arms, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And when The Death of Freedom is really helps people understand all of the bureaucracy and how that has taken over this country, and especially the death really happened with the Patriot Act, October 22nd, October 26th, 2001. That was the death. That was the absolute death of freedom. So I've just been
Well,
writing these books and trying to get the word out.
the Patriot Act was written a year or two before the actual 9/11 event. They were just waiting to implement it with some excuse. So this is a common thing. First, they create the problem, then they manage the opposition, and then they bring about the change or the solution that they always had when they created the problem. It's a cycle that we keep watching. I
Yeah.
know that you talked a little bit about smart cities and how does that relate to what's going on in Maui? And for instance, the Palisades fire, what are the commonalities that you notice there?
Yeah, well, both of them are set to be smart cities. Maui was set to be the first smart island, 2015, by Hawaiian and Japanese stakeholders. They decided, and this is the other thing that they're doing with this country, is they're getting unelected boards to make decisions for the population. So unelected people decided that Maui would be the first smart island. Again, no legislation, no public testimony. They just decided this. And basically, smart cities is surveillance. It's basically surveillance. It's cameras on all the street corners. You can't go out of your house without it. And also the LA, LA area as well, smart city. Myrtle Beach with the fire there, smart city. North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, smart city, and those are also in the book, as well as the weather modification that has been going on. We've had weather modification technology for over 100 years. The first, the first patent was in 1891 to seed the cloud to make it rain. And even though a patent doesn't mean that the apparatus works, we've had proof that they do work. So I can actually show you that as well. But yeah,
Yeah, I saw the guy testifying in Congress about the weather modification, and they are openly admitting that they're seeding the clouds for rain. Of course, he's like 25 years old. And I mean, I was found it interesting that that's who they put forward there because it seemed like he was kind of a junior guy at a company that's as big as that. But if are you familiar with the Club of Rome documents in 1968 where they're trying, you can go and read and where they create the weather, not the modification, but where they create this whole, they couldn't get a world tax. They wanted a world tax to support that's the reason they killed the guy in Russia way back in the 1900s, the Tsar of Russia, because
oh,
they
that's right.
wanted to create a worldwide currency and therefore a worldwide tax. And they weren't getting it through. They thought they'd achieve that in World War II. But the same instigators of World War I and World War II, their children put together the Club of Rome plan so you can literally go see. And if you remember, it was originally global cooling, but then
That's
it
right.
got warmer for 20 years, so they had to change it to climate change. And I was
That's
in the
right.
mining industry for a long time. I've been to history museums, for instance, like natural history museums all over the world. And if you think that climate change is something new, I suggest you go to any one of these museums in any major city in the world and you see that climate change has been specific. You were also talking about targeted weaponry of the different climate activity. And I believe that under Palantir, which is the track and trace, it's the military program they're using right now to kill people from the sky. The governments that are using it is the Europool, which is the European non-elected police force, again, from all
Right.
the EU non-elected people at the EU, the Israel military, the US military, and it also has control of our medical information. So if
Mm.
anybody wants to look up Palantir, Palantir, this was my major opposition to J.D. Vance as vice president because he worked for Peter Thiel, who designed the Palantir program. When you listen to these people talk, they are insane. They have godlike syndrome figures. He also
Mhm.
had recently, in the last few months, he's married to a man, Peter Thiel, but his lover, who was a model influencer on the internet, fell off a building shortly after they had a major fight. So you can see that around a lot of these systems, there's a lot of people that are dying too. So, know if there's any connection, but there seems to be on these people that are being identified as troublemakers or kind of being taken out, whether it's movie stars in Hollywood, troublesome politicians. I mean, we even have the total farce of the Clintons finally in front of Congress lying their faces off. So I think the real concern, people have been texting me, and the real concern is Palantir. We can't control what's going on over in Iran or any of those other
Right.
places. But I live in Northern California, and Palantir, you can just Google how is Palantir active in my area, and it'll show you they have the counties themselves haven't approved it, but they have these control and command centers that have been set up. And the one where I live, there's 14 counties that are involved. And of course, those were all counties that were heavily hit with the fire, electromagnetic pulse fires that we've talked about in your book.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, 100% agree. And I love that you brought up Google because actually ChatGPT has really been helpful to me and as far as the legislative bills that have been coming through because there's so many bills that come through. You can't keep track of them all. And there's also measures that are there as well. And so I've used ChatGPT to say, hey, what legislative bills are coming down that the locals should be concerned about or that violate the Constitution, and it has brought some up that we've testified against. There was a measure that just was this was super great because our Hawaii governor wanted to have the Hawaiian Islands be under the West Coast Health Alliance, which is under the United Nations. And so basically the West Coast Health Alliance would actually decide on health policies for the Hawaiian Islands. And so this measure was being voted on yesterday, and there was like there's a group of us that we text each other, when stuff's coming up, and we're all freaking out because none of us saw it coming. It was actually put out on Friday. Then Monday was the last day for us to testify. I immediately got it out to my list. I immediately got it out to all of the Facebook groups on all of the islands, and it died. The measure died. So thank God. And that's our power, you guys. We don't have power over what's happening overseas. We don't have power really nationally, but we have power locally, and we really need to take a look at that. The This last weekend, there was thousands of people that were protesting against Trump, no king, no dictator. And I did a video, this morning, or just finished it up this morning and put it out and said, what about the king here in Hawaii? Our Hawaii governor has signed almost 100 emergency proclamations. He has suspended hundreds of laws without legislation, and he keeps doing this. He keeps re-signing these. Every 60 days, he re-signs them. When I was doing the video, I looked up emergency proclamations in Hawaii, And I saw he just signed a brand new one for an invasive species in the coral reef here in Hawaii. So we have an emergency proclamation because there's too many deer on Maui. He has suspended a law where it doesn't allow any public into any of the infrastructure that supports the county and the city of Maui. And so I'm just like, what's going on? He's suspending the procurement rules, which is all the money that comes to the state. He's suspending those, suspending transparency laws and rules, and nobody's checking him. Zero checks and balances. So I actually have and let me tell you guys, these are issues for Hawaii, but these emergency proclamations, they're supposed to be because of a natural disaster. That's the only reason. Flood, tsunami, wildfires, earthquakes, volcano, things like that destroys people's houses. It's not supposed to be for administrative issues or issues because there's an invasive species in our ocean. That's the Department of Land and Natural Resources, not the governor. And so so many people went and protested Trump being king. I'm like, you guys, we have a king here. And I did create an impeachment inquiry around and sent that to the legislative body. And we're doing a fourth push for our legislators to inquire, is there impeachment? Is there a need for impeachment? Because he has totally violated the emergency proclamation law and he's governing through emergencies. He's literally governing by administrative issues, not emergencies. And so we do have power, you guys, but we need numbers is what we need.
Well, don't you think that's part of the whole long-term plan is to get somebody
Absolutely.
in there who crams a bunch of stuff down everybody's throat before they know what's happening? And then everybody looks around and goes, okay, what just happened? So you've talked a little bit about fighting back in your local community and your usefulness for things like Chat GPT. So can you elaborate? I know the general plan talks about all the things that there's so many things that are unconstitutional in it. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, how you can find
Yeah.
out what's unconstitutional and then how you can push back?
Yeah, absolutely. So I went to ChatGPT and I put in our county and I said, how is our county's general plan violating the Constitution? And a list, because our county general plan is was, and I want to say was because I have a great story to share with you guys about this. It was horrible. It was they wanted to change all important agriculture to natural land. All important agriculture land was going to be changed to natural land, which would literally put a noose around our farmers. They would have more holes to jump through, more permits to get, more money. And it was also very much vague. So let me just tell you, the normal general plan length is about 50 to 60 pages with about 8 to 10 goals. This new general plan that was totally from the United Nations, 300 pages long with almost 400 goals. That's impossible for a Hawaii general plan. So we have been fighting it. We've been going to every month we would go and protest or testify against these general plans. I actually got a meeting with the mayor. I had a stack of, he actually called us conspiracy theorists, and I got a meeting with him for an hour. I brought a stack of evidence that showed him how this general plan violates the Constitution and why it would change Hawaii, our island, forever. He paused the plan, and then they told him that the plan had to go through because it has to get to the county council. Well, finally, we had a county council member that stepped back and looked at the whole picture and said, this is not going through on my watch. She redesigned the whole plan. The whole plan took her 6 months to do it. She redesigned this whole plan and brought it down to 69 pages. And I think there's about 8 goals. And now they're working on the maps. But that general plan, 300-page general plan, that's not going to go through because we pushed back. We went to every single county planning department meeting, and you guys are not very long. They're in the morning. The testifiers get their voice heard first. So you can do this. You can do this work. So that's one thing that I've been doing with our general plan. The other thing I want to share is Rosa Corey, who was the California chief branch manager for transportation in California. And she was also an expert litigator for eminent domain court cases. And she accidentally found, by coincidence, the UN's plan to literally take over private property and to take your freedoms and to take your livestock and to take your goods, everything. She accidentally found this because of a court case that she had. And so she stopped. She actually retired from her job, started going around to the nation's county council meetings and sharing with them, this is coming through your general plans. Through our general plan, they want to take your private property, take your livestock whenever they want, and literally take away your freedoms through your general plan. So it's really important, if you're watching, go to ChatGPT, put in your county's name, put in what constitutional amendments is my county's general plan violating, and it'll come up, you guys. And then you can just ask it different steps. What should I take? You can go to standtogetherhawaii.com, look at what we're doing, model what I'm doing, and then start telling your neighbors, start getting flyers out, because you need numbers. But we got this. We have it.
You kind of did a similar thing. I know that we talked a few months back when you were on tour, and the mayor had tried to mandate full vaccination schedules for the children in Hawaii, another mandate, not something
Mhm.
passed by the legislature. So how did you guys deal with that? What did you do? And is there any way someone can get a copy of your plan if they need to do it? And because if your governor's doing it, especially the blue states governors are pushing it forward.
Yes, that is so that was the Hawaii governor, and what he was trying to do was have all of the children on all the islands be fully vaccinated, the full spectrum of the vaccine to go to any school. In order for them to go to any school, they would have to be fully vaccinated. Takes away parental rights, takes away religious exemption. And so we fought back, and we actually did an event on 4 islands where we brought speakers. That was Mickey Willis, Dr. Robert Malone, Dr. Ryan Cole, and Jimmy Dore. And we went to all of these 4 of our islands, and we talked. It was called Keep Vaccines Optional. If you want to vaccinate your child, you have a right. If you don't, that's your parental right. The government cannot tell you what to do with your children. So I created what's called a citizen memorandum. And you guys can also check out ChatGPT and talk and ask it about a citizen memorandum. StandTogetherHawaii.com has my citizen memorandum there. You can it's under keep vaccines optional. That's the page it's under. And you can model it. Just model that, because and then we had 1,300 signatures. We got literally, I mean, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I took all of these signatures, and on the first day of the legislative body, I went to Oahu and gave this document, citizen memorandum, 1,300 signatures with people on 4 different islands saying, do not do this. And it was great. The whole thing died. His whole thing didn't go through, didn't pass. And it was because we all fought back and stood up. So that's your kuleana, what we call kuleana. What's yours to do? What's your responsibility? What's your job? Is to see what's coming down your pipe, especially for your children, because that one was huge and people were really freaking out about it. But we did stop it, and that was one way that we stopped it.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about more? You said you did a memorandum to see it. Is that an impeachment inquiry? I think the rules are a little different in California than California's rules. Is there impeachment in your state? And can it be brought
No,
about by the citizens, or does it have to be brought about by the public servants?
the public servants. So the citizen memorandum is totally different than impeachment. A citizen memorandum is stronger than a petition. So it goes a petition, then a citizen memorandum. The citizen memorandum literally tells the legislative body what we want, and it has signatures behind it, but it's stronger legally in because it gets into the public record. So a petition doesn't really get into the public record, but a citizen memorandum does, and this one did because I made sure that it did. I sent it to not only all the legislators, I sent it to the Attorney General. I sent it to, we have a list of the Board of Ethics, the Ombudsman Office, and there was another one that I sent it to and made sure that it got onto the public record that this is the citizens saying we do not want this. And so you can use ChatGPT to help you write it, and then you have to read. You got to read your stuff, you guys. You can't let it create the whole thing for you. And then you get signatures. Now, one of the best ways to do that is through events, but you can just stand in front of your grocery store. You can go to different meetings. Your county council, not county council, but the business meetings. There's different meetings you guys can go to, whatever's local. Look at your local meetings where people attend and then go there and let people know what's going on. Have like a little 3x5 postcard that just says what the problem is. Our general plan is going to, take away private property, take away your livestock, whatever it is in your plan. So you want to get your community involved. And then the last thing I want to share is that you want to have a relationship with your higher power, whatever that, if you call it God or whatever. I call it Great Spirit, because if you're watching this and you're inspired in spirit, you're inspired to take some action, you're supposed to take action. You got to follow your heart and keep going, and then trust in the divine creator that things are going to work out. And that's the action that I've done. You guys, I'm just a fitness trainer. My first book, which is somewhere around here, is called End Dieting Hell. It won 4 awards, but my background is in wellness and health and fitness. And I just saw that this was wrong. And I started speaking out, and I had like 0 subscribers. Now it's almost 18,000. But I just keep going, and that's all we can do. So you have to decide what it is you're going to do. Don't look at the whole pie. Take a slice. Take one small slice. And if that's just your general plan, look it up. What's coming in your neighborhood? So, I got really annoyed because of this no kings, no dictator protest that happened this weekend here in Hawaii with thousands of people. And I was like, where are you guys for our own king? But that's my slice. I'm like, what? Let's speak out against the king here in Hawaii, who's suspending hundreds of laws without legislation. And he does need an impeachment inquiry. So that's the last thing I'll share. We in Hawaii cannot impeach the governor. We need 2/3 of the legislative body. It will take an absolute miracle, but I believe in miracles. And the other thing is, when our legislative body knows that enough of us want an impeachment inquiry because the governor has overstepped his authority, they're going to start to look into it. If we get thousands of people to send in to their legislative body saying, check out the governor, he's overstepped his bounds. We have an emergency proclamation because there's too many deer in Maui. We have an emergency proclamation because there's something in the coral reef. That nobody's dying because of that. Nobody's home's getting destroyed. But yet he has suspended 71 laws because of the wildfire emergency that happened 2.5 years ago. 2.5 years ago, we had the Maui fire. This emergency proclamation is still alive. It's still happening. And he suspended 71 laws. No checks and balances. Nobody's looking at what he's doing. They're just letting him do it. So it's our job. It's our job to take a stand. And the last thing I'll share, I already said that, but one more thing I'll share is the founding fathers had 3 goals for this country. 1, keep the federal government small. It didn't happen because after the Civil War, Lincoln allowed the federal income tax, and that just exploded the federal government. And then number 2, The government leaders are supposed to defend and support the Constitution. That's their job. That's their only job, is to make sure people are that our rights and freedoms are held intact. They're not doing that. And then the third foundation the founding fathers wanted was living men and women to be civically engaged. Our job is to check the legislature and make sure they're not making laws that violate our Constitution, or the governor, and the governor's doing his job and not going over and being a dictator. And that's our job, being Americans. That's what our founding fathers, we are part of the freedom for this country. And if we don't take that seriously, we might as well have a dictator. That's what we deserve. We need to look at the bills. We need to look at what's coming in our own neighborhood.
Can you just elaborate a little more on some highlights in your book before we sign off? I'm going to put the connection down in the comments section, but can you give us a brief overview of the different chapters or what you think might make people interested in learning more?
Yeah, well, Great Maui Land Grab, you can get it at greatmauilandgrabbook.com, greatmauilandgrabbook.com. This has 21 LA fire oddities in here. This has the weather modification, satellite images that you're going to see. It also has a lot of things around the death count, which was absolutely ridiculous. There's no way 102 people died. There were people washing up on Lanai, which is an island right directly in front of Lahaina, and that's where things would wash up before they go out to sea. And then the death of freedom. This one's really important. It does have things about the Great Maui Land Grab in here. So if you're going to get just one, you want the death of freedom. This one talks about how we got here. It goes through all of the amendments that happened that literally trickled the loss of freedom. It literally chipped away at our loss of freedom. This one also has mind control, how mind control has been going on since the 1940s. Since the 1940s, it's been happening since after World War II. It also has undisclosed experiments on the American people. People think that, COVID and chemtrails are just the first. We have been experimented on so much and we don't even realize it. Our children have been experimented on. So it has that, and it also has what we can do. I actually have a citizen memorandum here in the book and the addendum, and you can get this at deathoffreedom.com. It's deathoffreedom.com. But in the amendments and the addendums, I have three citizen memorandums. One is about chemtrails. One is about the climate change narrative. So you can find those there, and you can get started on starting small, taking action in your own community. And that's what it's going to take, you guys. But we've got this. If you're here and you're watching this, you are the bravest of the brave. You are among the bravest of the brave to be here at this time. And you can do this work. It doesn't take a lot. It just takes courage and the willingness to start, the willingness to do something.
All right,
Like you,
Michelle.
Simone. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, well, you're welcome. And I think you gave my viewers a lot to think about. And for those who want to do more than just think about these topics, you've given us some concrete strategies about how to push back on the Marxist agenda that's rolling out in front of us. It's not just in our country, it's across the whole world. So I
Yes.
just wanted to point out to people that one of the reasons I'm having a lot of writers and I've been working with a lot of writers is we frequently go to different events. We go to political fundraisers, we go to town halls, but there's really, you hear about it and you're interested in it, and then you try to go home and Google it, and they come up with all the fake information and you can't really find it. So my goal this year has been to bring in writers and connect them with the local community so people just don't go home empty-handed. They actually have something to think about and follow up with and get their brain thinking, and also something that's providing solutions because people feel so hopeless. And so I hope today and over the next few weeks, as I bring some more writers in and we all talk about difficult topics, that people will, like you said, what was the word? The kahula?
Cooley,
Kuleana?
Kuliana,
That
Kuliana.
everybody will find their kuleana. And uh, stand up for every section of your town. And when I first started doing my podcaster, I'm not a public speaker. I hadn't gone to county meetings or anything like that before. And I find what's really helpful, especially the person who's organized, like usually like get a few people together and you go down to the county supervisors meetings. But it's really helpful to kind of write out what you want to say because a lot of times your time is limited. So you
That's
can't
right.
really make your point. So if you have five people go up in a row that keep reiterating your point, especially things like their liability and things like that, when you're pointing out what they're doing is illegal and you keep getting that into the record, it gives you a better structure because even if you are a public speaker, you get kind of nervous when you're going up
Mhm.
against the powerful people in your community and you never know if there may be some repercussion against you or your children at school or because the world's just so crazy right now. So,
Yeah,
um,
you don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of time. Numbers is what matters though. Numbers, that's what matters. And the more of us that speak out, the safer we all are, you know.
and I was saying that I interviewed Kathleen Goebel. She wrote the book about the 28th Amendment on Tuesday. And I was saying to her, if we were as helpless and useless and stupid as they think we are, why do they spend all this time, all this money, and even sacrifice their own freedom in some instances if we don't have any power? So I'm going to kind of
Right.
leave you with that thought. Are you kind of on the same page with that?
100%, 100%.
Okay, as always, please do your own research and come to your own conclusions. And remember, the system we live in is governed by Roman law. And so if we don't push back, we consent.
Mhm.
Um, as always, this presentation is made in hopes that never again will the truth be lost in translation. This is Simone and Michelle signing off for today. Thank you.
Aloha.